Good morning and welcome to Sunrise Daily right here from our Abuja studios. It is exactly 25 degrees Celsius right here in Abuja, 88% humidity, and the wind is at 6 kilometers per hour. And it's a public holiday. Happy Eid al-Maulud to the Muslim Ummah. I'm Kayla Megwa.
Well, this morning, it is the 16th day in the month of September. That's the information I'm going to give you. And believe me, when you get out there, you will indeed know how it feels. And yes, I do also rejoice with our Muslim brothers and sisters as we celebrate this Eid. Amaya Makine, good morning and welcome. So where are you taking us this morning, Kayla?
We are going back to Maiduguri, Ayo. You know, the ripple effect of this flood is one that will stay with us for a very long time on different levels. You know, and watching the humanitarian effort that is being done right now, we're hearing that the UAE is sending, you know, what they can help to the people of Maiduguri. We also saw the military doing the same thing this morning. So there you have it on your screen. Borno State, it's flooded, still flooded. And one of the things that worries me, Ayo, about flooding is the illnesses that come with floods. People don't realize that is actually a bigger issue. And then there's also, of course, you know, what people have been talking about, their lives, their property, quality of life, and the dynamics that come with it. Listening to the governor recently, you know, hearing about people who are not part of the flood victims coming into IDP camps because of widespread poverty. I'm glad that he was able to identify that, because there is widespread poverty in places like Borno. And the insecurity hasn't helped over the years. But we'll get to that conversation at some point. There it is, Maiduguri on your screen. The weather there today, 28 degrees Celsius in Maiduguri, with a humidity of 81%, so really humid in Maiduguri this morning. Ayo, what are your thoughts as you look at Maiduguri?
You know, what is sad, Kayla, about this particular matter is that so far, not much is being said about the origin of the story. You know that this dam was constructed about 40 years ago or so. 10 years after it was constructed, there was some kind of defect, either a defect or flooding that occurred, and some damages were observed, and it was the Abacha government at the time, and some kind of palliative was done to ensure that the dam stood where as it should stand. You know, further down, I think it was around 2012, we understand that the dam still overflowed and there was still flooding in that community, and now this. We even understand that, from some of the stories you will see on the front pages this morning, the effects that we are feeling now started more than about 9 years ago. So it's not that these issues are new. In fact, there was a report, we understand, not too long ago, just before this flood, some months before this flood, this allowed dam collapse, that there was a report done and there was some comments made by officials of government at some point saying the dam was safe, and now this. So which head is going to roll? That's the one thing that I want to say about this thing, you know, Kayla. But then this has happened now. What other disaster is waiting to happen that we are not giving attention to now? What other things can we now, at the state level in particular, because the federal government can't be anywhere, they may have agents all over the place. We're talking about human lives here. We're talking about well-being of people. We're talking about the safety of lives and property. And Kayla, yes, you have talked about the likelihood of diseases. Government agencies have said the same thing. How do we forestall that? Ayola just told us just before morning brief ended that the water is receding and there is a likelihood, God forbid, indeed, as she said, that we'll find more, you know, more casualties. Should that happen, how will people sleep at night? This is not a good sight for us as a nation, especially at this time, in this poverty in its time when we are seriously fighting poverty with all of our arsenal. Sincerely, it is a very, very sad occurrence, and I just hope and pray that we can all look forward. What are the likely things that can happen that can bring this on us again, and do everything we can to forestall it? It's really sad, Kayla. I really don't know what to say.
It is. I mean, you're absolutely. What do you say? What do you say to this sort of situation? The governor keeps telling us they don't even know yet how many casualties there are. you know, and as we said from the very first day this flood happened, it's a failure of government. There's no way you want to slice it. It's a failure of government. Some people need, whoever it is, whoever this group of people, even one individual, I don't care, but somebody needs to be responsible for this, for what has happened, for what's happened to our brothers and sisters in Maiduguri. We stand with you in Maiduguri this morning. We pray for you. We hope everything turns out right. And then most importantly, for NIMET and for NEMA and for all the agencies involved in this, what are the lessons to be learned? Dam management. Allow dam is a controversial topic. It's been going on for a while. The governor himself, and that's one of the things I like about the Borno State governor. He really comes out and says, look, I've complained about this before. We've heard complaints about this, and nothing was done. So yes, we've heard that. Somebody needs to take the fall. We need to see someone or some people heads roll as a result of this situation. But that's our skyline this morning. Maiduguri, Borno State, we're praying for all of you, and we hope everything turns out fine in the next few days. I think we have some things that are happening today, and of course it's all in business. Really, it's been a very interesting weekend. Dangote and NNPC limited price controversy and investor sentiments. I mean, watching the stories over the weekend, just back to back to back to back, and wondering, who are you talking to? Did you get that sense that we were being toyed with? At least that's how I felt. I felt like I was being toyed with. Who are you talking to?
Well, just
anyway,
to be honest,
up on business. But your thoughts, really?
You know, to be honest with you, this morning as I was coming, and I knew that we were likely to say this. The song I hear Nigerians sing is, all we are saying, give us petrol. Whatever you want to do, just give it. But maybe, just as you said, at the top of the hour, Business Morning on Sunrise Daily, some of this information is going to be dissipated down the ladder to us. Meantime, let's go straight to the papers. Fuel price. That's one of the major stories on the front pages this morning. Vanguard newspaper, petrol supply. NNPCL, Dangote Refinery disagree over pricing. $8.98 per litre based on crude imported in dollars. According to Dangote, NNPC lifts 16.8 million litres out of 25 million litres. Independent marketers feel left out. We're lifting 16.8 million litres at 8.98 Naira per litre, that's from NNPC. And a number of other riders to that story on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper. The Guardian newspaper has the same story. Confusion over pump price subsidy as FG offtakes Dangote's petrol. NNPC insists on 8.98 Naira per litre, excluding associated costs. That story is on page 6. But then, is it FG or the NNPCL? I don't know. Well, the details you find on page 6 of the paper this morning. The Daily Times newspaper has NNPCL Dangote trade words over PMS pump price. We bought petrol from Dangote Refinery at 8.98 Naira per litre, according to NNPCL. NNPCL's claim misleading, mischievous, says Dangote. FG hails lifting of petrol from Dangote Refinery, says it's a step towards industrialization, local refining. That story is on page 4 of the paper. Daily Independent. Finally, NNPCL trucks load first set of petrol at Dangote Refinery. Dangote denies selling PMS at 8.98 Naira per litre to NNPCL, assures Nigerians of quality product and to fuel scarcity. The details continue on page 29 of the paper this morning. Dangote Refinery fuels Nigeria after 28-year lull. Counters NNPC, says sold product cheaper in dollars. Refinery eyes 100% delivery via sea. Details you find on the inside pages of the paper today. The Nigerian Tribune, Edo PDP APC bicker over alleged planned removal of Obaseki's security. Anyoku International Community watching INEC others. Any manipulation will cause exodus of Nigerians to Europe. That's from PDP. Wants EU to prevail on INEC, others to respect will of electorate. Forex scarcity forces operators to cannibalize disused airplanes as carriers face existential threats. That story is on page 2, and look at the riders. Why 60% aircraft on offshore maintenance can't return. Operators deplore spare price gouging. Scarcity, travelers lament. Details on the inside pages of the paper this morning. Maiduguri flood, 400 million naira budgeted for Allow Dam in 4 years. Dam neglected for years, that's according to Zulum. 8 defects discovered 9 years ago, that's according to a report. Fear of disease grows as Borno decries harmful practices. Survivors wash, cook with contaminated water. Details on the inside pages of the paper. This Nigerian newspaper, 281 inmates missing from Borno prisons. Nigerian Correctional Service laments havoc of flood disaster. Group 6 judicious use of 3 billion naira to vulnerable states. The details on the inside pages. And this is what the Abuja Inquirer leads with. FCT lawmakers perform poorly at National Assembly. Senator Rhetoric sponsors 1 bill, 2 reps with 0 bills. What's that all about? The details on the front page continues on the inside pages. Now, these are some of the papers we have for you this morning.
I mean, a lot is happening. It's a lot to take in. I think we should just take a moment and breathe, and then see how we can take one of the issues one after the other. I'm going to start with the Leadership newspaper this morning. It has quite a number of stories that we saw over the weekend. I'm going to start off with the top one here from the Leadership. Obasanjo, Abdul Salami, and retired General Gusau meet IBB in Minna. And of course, this one really caught my interest because, you know, this is a conversation that we have been having over the years about people who have been in government and what they bring to the table when they leave office. I mean, we remember that Council of State meeting. And, you know, with the Council of State meeting that happened, you know, a lot of questions came up about the participation, especially of former President Olusegun Obasanjo. But we're seeing that he arrived in Minna yesterday, held a closed-door meeting at the hilltop residence of former President Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida. And, of course, other people who were at that meeting, you know, they said he was dressed in white, had a green lace on. Everyone was talking about how he was looking. And that's because, you know, we need to know what's coming out from that meeting. So if that's something that you're interested in or you want to get more details on that, you can go to page 7 of the Leadership newspaper this morning. And, of course, the biggest story in the country, NNPCL. Yeah, it is. It's the biggest story for now. Maiduguri was the biggest story. But it's they're competing for which one is the most important story of the day. I like to think that human angle stories are the most important stories that we have to deal with every day, but we have to deal with the price of petrol. When it comes to pricing, what's going on? NNPCL and Dangote disagree over price of petrol. More on that from page 4. I remember what the drama was. We bought fuel from Dangote at 898. That was the first thing that happened. Then, of course, we now heard it's mischievous. We're not going to look at that, and that's not what happened. And then we now saw a pricing breakdown from an NPCL. So a lot is going on. I think it's going to make up part of our conversation in the second part of the program today. And then, of course, The Guardian today, The Guardian newspaper. Quite a number of headlines from The Guardian as well. Confusion over pump price subsidy as federal government offtakes Dangote petrol. More on that from page 6 of The Guardian newspaper today. You know, that breakdown, they're insisting on that cost. What are you going to do? What should we do? What can we do? Is there anything that can be done? Is there some kind of intervention that can be made? We actually do not know what to do now. For now, it's a waiting game, really, to see exactly how all of this works out. And of course, still has that story I told you about Obasanjo meeting with IBB, Abdul Salami, and Gusau in Minna. More on that from page 30 of The Guardian newspaper today. But let's go back to Maiduguri. The federal government is releasing pictures of 281 fleeing inmates. They've captured 7. You can get more of that from page 3 of The Guardian newspaper. So those are some of the things that I'm looking at right now. Ayo, what are you looking at from the papers?
Well, my interest is still on what you are interested in, what you're talking about, which is the price of petrol. Oh, by the way, there are 2 things that we are not looking at. First of all, the NNPC says, look, if the Dangote is saying that it is not true, That statement that the NNPC put out says, if the quoted pricing is disputed, the NNPC will be grateful for any discount from the Dangote Refinery, which will be passed on 100% to the general public. I like that part. But then there is still this other part that many are not talking about, or is it an attempt to distract? We understand that Dangote and the Dangote Refinery and the NNPCL agreed to 25 million liters of petrol each day, but that the first lifting was of 16.8 million liters. What's the consequence of that? What are the implications of that? Well, maybe we'll be speaking to that later on, because I don't know whether or not the NNPCL was able to import to balance out whatever deficit could be, God forbid. But that is what you'll find on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper, because one of the writers there says, we are lifting 16.8 million liters at 898 per liter. That's from the NNPC. So if we're supposed to have 25 million liters and we have 16.8 million liters, what are the implications of that? That is on the one hand. The other hand is still right above the nameplate of the Vanguard newspaper, which says FG delivers 1,200 CNG kits to 5 states. Kayla, I did just a little bit of calculation. Let's say, I am not agreeing, God forbid, but let's say, in some parts of the country, because I understand someone said to me that in Warri, they have been buying petrol for 1,500 naira per liter. If they are doing that in Warri, I wonder what's happening in Sokoto. I wonder what's happening in Bauchi and in Kano and several other cities like that. So let's just say that you buy fuel at 1,000 naira on the average, and you have a 50-liter tank. That's 50,000 naira per filling. Let's say that you fill your tank once every week. That's 200,000 naira per week. Multiply that by 12, that's 2.4 million. Jesus. So, and we understand that CNG conversion for some vehicles is up to, like, say, 1.8 million naira. Okay, so I don't know if I've given you anything to think about. With these few words of mine, these few points of mine, I hope I've been able to... I don't even know if that makes any sense, but it's really not a funny thing.
Not confuse you.
But these are the realities that we have to face.
Sometimes we have to laugh to keep from crying, really.
Well, I do think that at some point they called us the happiest nation in the world, simply because we just have to laugh to follow the troubles.
We should stop saying this. Let's even talk about, we're not. Just because you're able to take a lot of things doesn't make you happy, doesn't make you strong. It just means that the day you break, you really, really break. And that's the point we don't want the Nigerians to get to.
Absolutely.
And these things keep happening over and over again, and then we roll over, the water off a duck's back. This back.
What's also interesting, Kayla, on the front page of one of the papers, The Guardian that you looked at, it says that the president gave ministers 1,200 bags of rice each as palliatives for distribution. Please, dear viewer, let us know if you have gotten your own part of that bag to the minister that is from
on social media recently, Ayo.
Okay.
The person on social media said, why does the government think rice is the solution to everything? There's a flood, you give rice. The road is bad, they give rice. There's an accident, you give rice. Who told you that rice is the solution to everything going on?
Well, it's sad. It's really a lot. It's really a lot. But you know what? We just have to keep going. Let Nigerians have all of this information so that they can be able to make informed decisions, because we can't die. We have to keep moving on. Things have gotten so bad over the years that we only talk to the person that is leading at every point in time. But how about the other people in the various states who have authority and responsibility to do stuff? Everyone should bear their brother's burdens. That's my take this morning on that one.
Well, we do have to go on a short break, I think, and when we come back, we'll kick off our conversation. We're starting in Edo State, so please stay with us.
Commission INEC will be conducting the governorship election in Edo State. INEC will be supported by the police and other security agencies in the conduct of this election. The roles of the police and other security agencies are clearly defined in the Electoral Act. I want to say that we are aware of the importance of our roles, and we are committed to discharging these roles with excellence. We will be impartial, we will be professional, and will be vigilant while providing level playing ground for all the political parties and their candidates. Quasi-security organizations will not be allowed to take part in this election. They will not be allowed to intervene in the election security, just as we have done in previous elections. It is only the police and other security agencies that will be lawfully deployed for the security of this election. I want to say that we should also not continue to overemphasize the impact of the police on the outcome of election. INEC has devised innovations, new ways of conducting elections in the country. Therefore, the impact of the police is minimal on the outcome of this election. We should not overheat the polity by always calling out the police once election is drawing near. We have deployed our men. The men we are deploying have been trained, and they will discharge their duties professionally. We are also deploying senior officers to supervise the conduct of the men that we are deploying. We are confident that we are going to have a peaceful outcome in Edo State. For those who may be thinking of using violence to disrupt the election, I have a warning for them. Any person or persons found bearing any type of offensive weapon on the day of election will be treated instantly as an armed criminal. I urge our youths to shun temptations and to refuse to be manipulated by those who may want to cause disruption of the exercise. We are very serious with our warnings, and we are committed to providing adequate security for this election. I thank you.
And that is the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, talking about the Edo elections. September the 21st is upon us. And the ripple effects of everything that's been happening is coming to the fore. For those who haven't been following this story, the reason why he's talking about the police is because many people, well, at least the PDP in Edo State is accusing the police of being partisan, picking up a lot of their members, and as a result, refusing to sign the peace accord. They're also worried, that's the People's Democratic Party in Edo State, they're also worried that the resident electoral commissioner has very close ties to the FCT minister, who was former governor of River State, Mr. Nyesom Wike. It's his cousin. It hasn't been denied. Of course, we heard Minister Wike talk about it when he came here on Politics Today not too long ago. We've had the Edo Town Hall yesterday right here on Channels Television, bringing stakeholders together to understand what the issues are and what's going to be happening going forward. One of the things that's standing out for most of us is the fact that the peace accord was not signed by the People's Democratic Party, who are the incumbents. So what is going on in Edo State, and what should we be looking out for? And joining us on that conversation, we have Mr. Ralph Obasogie, who's the chieftain of the Labour Party, former Director General of the Labour Party Presidential Campaign Council. He's joining us via Zoom. Thank you so much for joining us on the program.
Good morning to you.
And then, of course, we have Mr. Emmanuel Odige, former spokesperson of the APC Integrity Group, supporters of Asue Igodalo, join us via Zoom from Benin City as well. Nice to have you on the program.
Good morning to you.
Good morning. And then we also have, yes, it's a full house today. We have Collins Osage, Deputy DG, APC Governor Campaign Council Media. Do we have Mr. Osage, are you there? Okay, I hear he's going to be joining us shortly. So we have a full house this morning. I'm going to start with, let's start with the Labour Party, because many people have been looking at your party and thinking, with the war going on between the APC and the PDP, what chances do you really have? How is the Labour Party feeling in the run-up to these elections? Some people have said that your focus really is on grassroots mobilization. How do you transform that mobilization into votes?
Thank you very much. You will find that, like you have observed, Labour Party's growth and organization has been very organic, very natural, with people of character. And our candidate, Olumide Akpata, and the deputy candidate, Osama Kadiri, have gone to the grassroots, and they've gone around the entire 192 wards 5 times or even 6 times as at yesterday, and they are still going to the grassroots. So the connection, because Olumide Akpata, Osama Kadiri, and Labour Party are putting people at the center of everything that Labour Party is going to do. The promises is a social contract that we are going to sign with the people. And like I told you, you have also observed, you see the bickering between PDP and APC. In 25 years, okay, they have devastated this state. They've retarded this state. They've destroyed everything that General Bamudia and Ambrosali bequeathed to this state. This state was a proud state. Edo State was a proud state. So Edo people on the 21st are going to have the opportunity to reject and liberate themselves from the shackles of retarded growth, bondage, and underdevelopment that the APC and PDP have fostered on the state for 25 years. People are asking already, where is Upila Cement Factory? Where is Bender Feed Flour Mills? Where is Afose Sports Complex? Where is Bender Brewery? Where is Edo Line? We can go on and on. And if you look at those who run PDP now and APC, they are not different, because those who are running PDP now, those who are in PDP and in governance, were those in APC. Those in APC now were those in PDP. So they are just playing games of musical chairs. And I think the state is tired of this underdevelopment and the devastation of the state. With no employment, with all the killing of these industries and factories that I've told you, our boys have nothing else to do than to go into the courts, and then they are the ones that are the militias that these two parties are using. So we need to wake up this state, rejuvenate it, recreate it, reinstate it. The work is going to be enormous. And that alternative to these two parties that have destroyed the state, the alternative is Labour Party, the alternative is Olumide Akpata and Osama Kadiri. And the people of Edo State need to try a new party with fresh ideas after 25 years of stagnation. Look at Benin, look at the whole state. Okay, we have the worst GRA in the whole country. When it rains, you can't go anywhere in the GRA. When it rains, you can't go anywhere in the state. Nowhere is developed. Whereas we have natural crevices to control the water storm or rainstorm, all right? And PDP and APC are bickering over how they appropriated the $60 million water storm budget and loan they got from the World Bank. Enough of that. We need a party that is going to perform. And if you check our membership, you don't see any of those who have held offices gravitating towards the Labour Party, because they know there is no room for, how would I call it, embezzlement and the rest. We are a party of ideology. We are a party that is going to put the people at the center of whatever we're going to do. And they should give Olumide Akpata and Labour Party that chance come 21st September.
Mr. Odige, I'm coming to you next from the All Progressives Congress. You heard what he said. Musical chairs. There's no difference between you, or at least your candidate in his mind, and the incumbent, the incumbent party. There's no difference. It's musical chairs, one after the other. But, you know, one of the issues I wanted to bring up with you was the fact that your party has been accused of trying to use federal might to muscle power away from the People's Democratic Party. You're actually being blamed. They're pointing out that you are behind, your party is behind, you know, what the People's Democratic Party is perceiving as some sort of chicanery that could be going on between the police and the Resident Electoral Commission and those sorts of stories. What do you make of these accusations?
Excuse me, I think you're getting it wrong. I am not of the APC.
Oh.
I have since resigned my membership of the APC.
Oh, okay.
Based on several issues. You know, the lack of internal democracy, the fostering of the most incompetent candidate on the party, you know, and the party has been grossly rationalized. And you know, when there is no unity, there's no cohesion.
And without cohesion, you can never succeed in anything. I have since resigned my membership of the APC to join forces with the most credible candidate of the PDP, Aswelime Ighodalo and Saudi Ogi.
Oh, well, you have to forgive me. I actually thought I was calling on Mr. Collins Osage. I thought I was calling on Collins Osage, but we're told that he's not here with us yet. So yes, Mr. Odige, go on.
Responsible. Well, for me, it is evidently clear that Edo is united. My heart first goes to the flood victim of Nigeria, the flood victim in Edo, my local government, and Esako, the 3 local government, whose palliative, the rice that was meant for flood victims, have been diverted by the APC for campaign purposes. My heart, firstly. And I want to remind my brother Ralph, when he talked about the Labour Party, you know, it is, he said the Labour Party is an ideological party. And it is funny for me because Labour Party became prominent because of fairness, equity, and justice. You would agree with me that the Labour Party candidate is from Oredo, where the incumbent governor is from. And you would agree with me that he has said on several fora that the governor is his cousin. So, you know, Labour Party.
I think we've lost the connection to Mr. Odige there. But is Mr. Osage with us now so we can get the response? Because for Mr. Odige, our question to him is supposed to be for the PDP. Collins Osaga, are you there? All right, you're going to have to unmute, Mr. Collins, so we can speak with you.
I think I've done that.
Very good. Can you hear us now?
Very well, I can hear you.
Okay, so the question that I posed was actually for you. Sorry, Mr. Odige, we'll get to you shortly. Let's talk to Mr. Collins. So the question I had asked had to do with the accusations of your party, with your party being accused of being...
I had the question.
You heard the question. All right, so let's hear your response to it.
It's quite unfortunate when you see a chief executive officer begin to cry like a baby. And that's exactly what you have seen going on. All the things you have heard PDP say, actually, it's just that they couldn't have their way as usual, the way the governor have always had it. And that is why the governor have always said he has never gone to any political war and not won. And he also gave himself the marathon. A marathon means an iron that cannot be bent. That was what he called himself. But he has seen a system where there's going to be a free and fair election, having lost contact with the people, having lost support with the people, owing to the abysmal performance that was being performed by the government of Edo State, led by Mr. Governor Godwin Obaseki. It is quite unfortunate that he promised heaven on earth and nothing he could do. He promised to build industry. He promised to give jobs to all Edolites. He promised to
let's just be clear. You're basically saying that this is just sour grapes. You know, you don't think there's any merit to the accusations they're making against the All Progressives Congress.
They are trying
Does it worry you? Let me ask you: if the resident electoral commissioner was cousins to Governor Obaseki, would that be something that you would worry about if you were? If that was the situation, would you be worried about that?
I shouldn't have any reason to even worry at all because I know we have persons of credibility. For INEC REC chairman to be there as INEC REC chairman, I am sure he didn't just appoint himself. He went through all the rigorous, he went through Senate screening and all of that, and the DSSS haven't certified that the man was fit to be INEC chairman. I'm sure before he was made INEC chairman. Even in the last election where you have some persons, even when APC tried to raise an issue, today the spokesperson, one of the spokespersons to Governor Godwin Obaseki then, who they also charged to court, that he accused Mr. Guinea from INEC then, that he was working alongside with Governor Godwin Obaseki, quoted some hotels where they made them. I'm sure they have excused him of those charges. So it was the same INEC. So it's part of them. Wherever you find persons like that, those kind of character, they collaborate with themselves, and they come up with accusation. They have even accused the police. They have accused the INEC. You are accusing traditional rulers. You are accusing Christian religious body of being biased. Everybody is being biased. That simply means it is PDP, the governor, and probably his candidates that have issues. If you have issues with all the institutions as it were today, it means it is them that have issues. But I want to tell you, Nigerians have since wised up. No one man can put up or can put anyone in his or her arms. You can see the governor fears is coming from the local government election that he conducted some time ago in Edo. He saw the way he humiliated and embarrassed Edo people when he said he wanted to conduct a local government election, thinking the opposition will not come out. But to his greatest shock, all the primary schools or all the voting centers were martyred by Edo citizens. They wanted to express to the governor that his administration was a complete failure.
All right, let's move to because we do have to manage our time. Mr. Odigwe.
Yes, please.
Okay.
You know,
now, hold on a second. I have a different question for you. I know that you want to respond to him. You can get to do that in the course of the conversation. Right. But what I wanted to find out from you, and that's the biggest question when it comes to the People's Democratic Party, who you are supporting for this election.
Yes.
Not signing that peace accord. Isn't that some sort of, I don't know, shouldn't that make people feel uncomfortable coming to cover elections in your state? Do you think that there's going to be violence? Many people believe that not signing a peace accord basically says, I'm ready for a fight, and it shouldn't be a war. And you heard what the Inspector General of Police said before we started this conversation. The dynamics after not signing, that's what I want to get from you. What are you expecting? Right. Do you think it's going to be a peaceful exercise?
It's going to be. Edo election has always been peaceful because in Edo we see ourselves as a united family. We can disagree. Elections has always been based on issues. You know, we could talk and play all the games. At the end of the day, Edo will be united. You know, there have never been violence. Let's go back to 2016. 2016 election was keenly contested, where Godwin Obaseki defeated Pastor Segi Zeyamo of the PDP. Even while PDP candidates campaigned rigorously across, the people gave massive support to Godwin Obaseki. Fast forward to 2020, when Godwin Obaseki was chased out of APC to a new political party, the PDP. And people thought the election, the president was a former military general, a former dictator, he was going to rig election in Edo, people were apprehensive. And the election was free and fair, credible election. And again, Godwin Obaseki of the PDP defeated the APC massively. And now, fast forward to 2024. You know, we've never had such a pre-election violence before. You know, I give it to Edo State Police Command, who have continually fought crime, you know, protected lives and properties in a very civilized manner, who has helped to get rid of kidnappers from our forests while they were raping our mothers and wives, kidnapping our men in the bushes, in collaboration with the Edo Security Network. They've done very well. In the history of Edo elections, we have never had a situation where special forces are sent to Edo State to arrest members of any political party. It has never happened because Edo State Police Command is capable and able to protect lives and property and fight crimes as they have always done. So for me, as an Edo man and as a PDP man, I think that was unnecessary. You know, the council chairman arrested in
Mr. Odigwe, we've heard all the details over the past few days.
So I think
we've heard all the details over the past few days, but not signing the accord. That's my point. Why not just sign it? Since you're saying you believe in peace, why not just sign it?
Okay, now there are demands. The PDP has made demands before they didn't say they will not sign. They want the special forces to be withdrawn out of Edo. Edo have a very effective state police command. There are divisional headquarters in every area in Edo State, even in the most remote village. There are divisional headquarters, and we have area commands everywhere. And these people have the capacity to deal with any issue. So why bring in special forces to Edo to harass? Look, I have been called upon severally to be careful. That they are even after me. I received threats because I dumped the APC based on the lack of internal democracy and the grossly incompetent candidate they have fostered on the Edo people. You know, I think they should just abide to the rules and withdraw that special forces they did not send to Edo when kidnappers was killing us, raping our mothers and wives and sisters in the forest.
All right.
No
I'm going to toss it over to my colleague in Lagos. I think he has a few questions for you.
Well, Mr. Obasogie, let me begin with you. What's your reaction to that, the fact that one political party has refused or is not yet signed the peace accord? How does it resonate with you?
Then I think, in my personal opinion, I'm not speaking for the party. I hope you've seen their demands. Have you seen the demands made by the party before they sign? They have not refused to sign. They made demands, which I think are germane, which I think should be met.
I hope this is Mr. Ralph Obasogie talking. I hope this is Mr. Ralph Obasogie talking.
No, this is Prince Emmanuel Odigwe.
Okay, it's Mr. Ralph Obasogie that I'd like to respond to the question.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Obasogie, are you there? Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay, I understand that you're talking. Please unmute your device so we can hear you. All right, well, while we're waiting for you...
I am saying, hello, I'm here now.
All right, go ahead.
I am saying that I cannot answer for PDP why they did not sign. I'm not of the PDP, I'm of Labour Party, all right? But let me just quickly speak to the issues that Odigwe raised. You can see that APC and PDP are bickering over how to grab power. Whereas the Labour Party, Olumide Akpata, Atama Kadiri, have been attending to issues, going to the grassroots and asking them, what are your problems? What are your needs? And those are the things that dovetail into the Labour Party manifesto that Olumide has taken as a flag bearer. Okay? Now, you can see that then gives you the character of those who are contending for power. Okay. All right? There are people who are contending for power. PDP and APC want power for power's sake. But Labour Party and Olumide Akpata and Atama Kadiri are looking for power to try and
but I think if you are not answering the question,
Mr. Odigwe, please allow him to. He has a right. He has the floor now. I'm the one moderating. Allow me to speak to it. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Obasogie. Well, Mr. Osagai, you heard him as well. I'm just wondering if it is something, because we understand from the convener of the National Peace Commission that, you know, it is not a law, it is something more of a moral suasion as opposed to a constitutional or legal thing. But how does it resonate with you that one political party is refusing to sign the peace accord in this election, towards this election?
Yes, thank you very much. If you heard, the governor has since been very hard for violence. And if not for God, who is standing by us, only God knows where we are or where we would have been. I can bet you that in Edo prison today, half of the prisoners that are there are the people that the governor has since arrested even before the last election. Even during the ordinary local government election that he conducted, he used his security network that he formed.
Mr. Odigwe, please, you do not have the floor. Please let Mr. Osagai finish.
Can you allow me, please?
Please go ahead, Mr. Osagai.
Time in this program.
Yeah.
Now, that has been the attitude of the government. And even when former President Buhari was president of the Federal Republic, you agree with me, whatever discrepancies or issues he probably had with APC in Edo State, we don't know. He actually gave Governor Baseki the go-ahead to oppress us in Edo.
So long and short, Mr. Osagai, you are not comfortable with the fact that, just a second, long and short, you are not comfortable with the fact that the PDP has refused to sign the peace accord. Is that what you're saying?
Because, yes, because he do know, the governor and PDP have seen it, that the police system and the security agencies that is legally constituted by the people of Nigeria will not take side. Instead, because
but you do also recall, Mr. Osagai, just one second, Mr. Osagai, if you can hear me. You do recall that your own party did not sign the peace accord in the build-up to the presidential elections. Mr. Bishop Kuka reminded us that even the president, the current president, the party did not sign the peace accord at the time, and heaven did not fall.
I want to disagree. I want to disagree with that fact. You and I agree that everything then was being managed from the center, and the president today was always interested in the peaceful disposition of Nigerians during and after the election. Completely different from what you are seeing today in Edo.
Help me understand what I'm saying. Just so you understand me, Mr. Osage. Just 1 second. No, just for clarity. Just a second. Just for clarity. The president was not there to sign. What the expectation was that the presidential candidates themselves will show up to signal that, look, we want peace in this election. He was represented by the vice president. But in this case, no one is talking about it at all. That's the point that I'm making. Is this something that is giving you sleepless nights, or you think it is something that, you know, we should just go ahead? That it's not gonna be a big deal.
No, it's not a big deal. It's not in the law. It's a mutual agreement. It's a brotherly arrangement. But since the governor, even there before yesterday, said the election is do or die, people must die, that is where the worry comes from. That is why we are begging international communities, NGOs and what have you, to call the government. Okay.
On that, Mr. Osagai, you've led me to the very next question that I want to ask Mr. Dige. Well, Mr. Dige, can you speak to that comment ascribed to the... Just a second, Mr. Osagai. Can you, just so we can manage our time, can you speak to that issue of concern for Mr. Osagai and a number of people who heard the governor say that this election is a do-or-die affair? What does it mean?
What the governor meant is that if we do not vote, we will die of starvation, of hunger. It doesn't mean it's a do. If we do not vote, we will die of hunger and of starvation. See, context matters. You know, people just go and, you know, make all sorts of comments, statements. You know, you can see the crops of people in APC, from the candidates to the party ESCO. You know, there are people who are bereaved of ideas, who have no intellectual capacity to understand what the governor was talking about. There is hunger in the land. A bag of beans from 19,000 is 230,000
Well,
today.
you see, Mr. Saga, Mr. DJ, just 1 second. Gentlemen, just 1 second.
You know, the high cost of living, people can no longer...
Just a second. So we can understand, and we, as you said, put everything in context. Most of the time when people hear comments, they don't listen to context. They just take the comments and they go on with it. Mr. Saga, Mr. Basoge, you've also heard that comment, because political rhetorics are very, very important. People react to things differently. And you've spoken to what your candidate is doing and all of that. But do you think political, let me use the term of a late governor of Ondo State, political gunshots, you think that they matter in this election? You think people should listen to context, or just listen to what is being said and they act on it?
Yeah, there is no contest.
Let me quickly...
Mr. Odige, just 1 second. Please allow Mr. Obasoge to respond. Thank you.
You can play the video. I'm sure you have the video in the distance. The governor was heard live saying that if there are money, yes, he has reasons to be apprehensive. We all have those reasons. But he then said, if anything, if the ruling party at the national level does anything to manipulate the elections, okay, that the place will burn.
Okay, that's a different matter. That's
yes,
a different matter.
I know, wait. So, but you can see how APC and PDP have been shooting themselves in the street. They are the ones that command the talks, all right? They are bickering over a former senator who left PDP and they came back to APC, was caught on live camera saying that they supported Obaseki and put him there so that, but he just got there and kept all the resources under his apron strings. That's why he decamped again to APC. The Labour Party is not like that. We speak to issues. Let me address Odige's talk about equity or inequity.
Yes.
Labour Party, out of all the parties, out of the three major parties, was the only party whose candidate, Olumide Akpata, emerged democratically. We followed the Electoral Act, starting from the wards. And when you're talking about equity, PDP and APC...
With all the litigations...
No, excuse me. I didn't see any... APC and PDP actually held primaries, shambolic primaries anyway, but they held primaries. They threw the ticket open. Labour Party has not been in government. This is our first time. You can't be talking about equity in the Labour Party when we've not produced any governor. And yet, let me let you know that your people in Esaland, in the primaries, Olumide scored about 417 votes, while your major colleagues in Esaland scored 77 votes. Esan delegates voted for Olumide.
Well, gentlemen, I think the day of the election is just a few days ago. Gentlemen, just 1 second. You know, we're just days to this election. Today is the 16th of September. And how many days before the 21st? I guess what they say, you know, the time will tell. I have to thank you, gentlemen, for your time this morning. Ralph Obasogie is a chieftain of the Labour Party. He's joined us. He's also former DG Labour Party Presidential Campaign Council. Emmanuel Odige is a former spokesperson of APC, is Integrity Group supporters of Asue Hodalo in the PDP, as well as Collins Osagai, who is Deputy DG APC Governorship Campaign Council Media. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time. And
thank you very much for having me.
We'll take a few messages and then we'll go straight to Business Morning on Sunrise Daily.
Hello, welcome to Business Morning. It's a public holiday right here in Lagos, Nigeria. Most of the major markets are closed today, so it's a holiday shortened week, but tomorrow we'll commence with the markets. But let's get you top stories that set your agenda. We see the oil market, that's open today. Oil prices edged up earlier today. We see Brent holding up $71.76 a barrel, 0.20% up, and we see the issues there. Hurricane Francine, and we're seeing supply issues impacting prices. WTI crude, that's still sub $70 this morning, 0.30% up. So definitely the oil prices still short-term still look depressed at this point, but this should be good for pump prices. That's talking about fuel, but we're not seeing that, you know, right now. But let's look at we'll get to what's happening right there with PMS later on in the show. But let's get a check on how the Naira performed last week. The foreign exchange market started on a calm note, you know, owing to the funds that were offered at elevated levels towards the end of trading. That was on Friday. So we see a jump there, 5.17%. That's for the NAFEM window, closing at 1,546 Naira to the dollar. Definitely a lot of seesaw movements looking at the price performance. That's for the Naira last week. But for NAFEX, we saw weakness there, down 2.84%, closing at 1,639 Naira. That was on Friday. So this week, we'll definitely be looking out for maybe more interventions from the CBN and see if there's more liquidity and maybe some strengthening for this week. But let's get to other stories now. We see the Securities and Exchange Commission. They've assured stakeholders in digital asset space that it is ready to provide the necessary guidance that will grow the industry, create wealth for Nigerians, and lead to economic growth and development. Director General of the SEC, Dr. Imamatomi Gama, stated this in Lagos over the weekend, said the Commission is willing to be patient in ensuring that majority of interested participants are carried along. The SEC DG said blockchain enables real-time transactions and settlement, reducing the time and costs associated with traditional financial services. He says this can lead to a more efficient and inclusive financial ecosystem benefiting both individuals and businesses. And about 2 weeks after rolling out its first premium motor spirit, Dangote Refinery has recorded another major feat with the lifting of its PMS by NNPCL from the refinery located in the Bejuleki area of Lagos State. The $20 billion Lekki-based facility is equipped with 86 gantries, making it possible to load 86 trucks simultaneously. Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Mr. Wale Edu, led a federal government delegation to the refinery and is calling on domestic refiners to change the narrative and begin legal export of refined petroleum products. Our energy correspondent, Olu Phillips, has this report.
What a historic breakthrough day for all Nigerians. The last few months have been those of tensed moments, apprehension, and times when many residents became strict observers of events, analysts at other times, but ultimately united in one purpose: the yearnings for petroleum product availability. After months of work, the Presidential Committee, through its technical work group, finalized on directives from the President, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, on modalities to ensure a common operational space for the country's national oil company, NNPCL, and the Dangote Refinery company. This is the long and short form of the story. The Dangote team asked for two things: crude supply, and that crude be paid for in Naira. Those prayers appear to have been answered, courtesy of the federal government through the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited. Just as the coordinating minister of the economy is here to supervise the process, essentially and effectively, the NNPCL has commenced lifting of PMS out of Lagos, and it brings such joy to the refinery stewards.
Now, after 52 years, now we have a solution, and the solution is local production of PMS, and it is from a Nigerian-owned company, and as a EPC contractor, it was constructed by a Nigerian company. So it's a matter of great pride that a Nigerian-owned company, constructed by a Nigerian-owned company, is able to generate PMS from the local crude and deliver not only to meet the entire requirements of Nigeria, but we can also have surplus to export.
In the midst of the frenzy and monumental positive shift, we asked the team lead the question on your lips.
What Nigerians can look forward to is energy security, energy sufficiency, and as we look forward, we can also look at the issue of cost. What we're expecting that as this refinery and even others, as they ramp up production, ramp up scale, and achieve greater economies of scale, there should be the opportunity, and there is definitely the potential to reduce their costs, which should pass on to the consumer. So we have to give them a chance. They have just started. They have done very, very well.
One huge step is out of the way. And as the finance minister said, having delivered this, Nigeria is only part of global competitiveness, which again, of course, can only also happen when local prices are competitive. Olu Phillips, Channels Television News.
All right, yeah, so it's a historic moment for Nigeria, finally refining PMS within our shores. But there's one big snag now, and that's pricing. We've had statements upon statements, one from the NNPCL, giving us estimated pump price, based on Dangote Refinery pricing, and that's coming to about 950 Naira per liter, and that's for Lagos. Then we have a statement also from the Dangote Refinery telling us to hold on, that they're going to give an official statement on this same pricing issue. So definitely, a lot to chew on there, but I'm just wondering who's thinking about us, the average consumer, that's having to deal with rising prices and now having to pay more for PMS. Then we have the central bank trying to tame inflation that's hit new highs upon new highs. But now we know the impact of rising PMS prices. We know how that impacts inflation. So definitely it'll be interesting to see what September inflation numbers will be. But we're still waiting on the MBS to give us what happened in August. That's talking about inflation. Maybe we might get that today, but it's a public holiday, so expecting that sometime tomorrow. So join us for the conversation. Now, let's get a sense of how the foreign investors, domestic investors are viewing what's happening right now. Join us for this conversation. We have Mr. Farouk Khailan, is the CEO, Premium Africa Holdings, joining me via Zoom. Great to have you on the show.
Thank you very much, Ladi. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. So, definitely we know it's a landmark event for Nigeria's energy sector, over the weekend, but I'm sure you've been following the story and you've seen, we're having a snag there when it comes to pricing, of the product. So, talk to me, give me a sense of how the international community, investors are viewing what's happening right here with Dangote's refinery. That's his investment journey, with this refinery.
Well, I think over the past couple of months, the international business community has been monitoring Nigeria very strongly, particularly what's happening in the energy sector. Energy security is something that is very, very crucial to Africa's economic development. Nigeria is Africa's powerhouse in terms of economics, and we all been monitoring it keenly. What excites us, particularly those of us wearing the Pan-African cap, is that localization of economies. We want to see that countries are looking domestically in terms of developing their economic fronts. Dangote has shown leadership. We are all proud of him. There's a narrative that 10,000 Chinese people have come into Africa and making over $1 trillion annually. So it gives us an indication that our economies are not owned by us. Dangote has shown leadership. We're excited that Nigeria has localized this very, very important component of the economy. Your Forex conversations will be changing now. We are monitoring how the inflation will look in September. Everybody is monitoring keenly. You realize that these transactions will be done in Naira. So nobody has to go and convert Naira to dollar to come and do transactions. And even when Dangote supplied NNMC, you realize that it brought the buying prices that they are always used to significantly down. So indeed, you can understand that, yes, we are looking domestically. International investors are also looking where they can plug themselves in the value chain. After supplying the local economy, we understand that there's also surplus to be exported where, some Forex would also come in. So it's a very, very interesting dynamic. We are excited about it. We want to say kudos to the government, particularly His Excellency Tinubu. This becomes a success.
Right, and a perspective here, we're seeing, a little snag there when it comes to, pricing of the product. But with what you're seeing so far, does this inspire confidence in, a foreign investor out there, looking into Nigeria and saying, you know what, I'd like to plug in to some part of this energy market? Does this, with what you're seeing so far, does it inspire confidence?
It does. It absolutely does. Because if you look at the value chain of petroleum supply, once it's become localized, then indeed you also understand that logistics would also provide a very important opportunity for those who want to enter the space. Those who would also need capacity enhancement would also reach out to international community. The international community investor community has always find it difficult to plug in. They say blessings can come in different ways. It's a blessing in disguise. Others have been at the doorway trying to find themselves in. And this one offers a very important, dynamic. So what you realize is that this logistics conversation will start happening. Those who see Nigeria as a powerful force would also start, expressing their interest. And then definitely it would all translate into more investments coming in. What excites me particularly, transactions will be done in the local currency.
Right, and talking about, the local currency at this time, we've seen pressure, on the Naira, but some stability, somewhat, some would say, stability, weakness, two different stories at this time. But, talk to me about, we keep talking about attracting investments, bringing, foreign capital in FDI. We've seen a drop, in the first quarter of 2024. So what are you seeing, when it comes to, attracting investments into, say, Africa, Nigeria? Is Africa well positioned? Is Nigeria given the right body language to attract even more investment, into other sectors of the economy?
Yes, you realize that when the baton changed hands, people were also very, skeptical, and not because they didn't have confidence in the government, but they wanted to see the policy direction of the government. This is a landmark, scenario where, like Nigeria is localizing its petroleum. Yes, indeed, it would definitely impact the sort of decisions that investors are going to make. It inspires confidence, absolutely. If you look at the investment narrative, there are those who would also prefer that countries show muscle when it comes to driving their own, economies, showing leadership, and taking the economy to locals, indigenous entrepreneurs to be able to drive it. There are those who would try and look for Dangote and find a way to plug themselves in anywhere in the value chain, because there's always need for capital, there's always need for expansion, there's always need for, logistics, there's always need for technical expertise, and this is where the opportunities lie. So definitely you see a lot of, flights coming in from investors from different jurisdictions coming to understand the dynamics. And this is where government needs to be very proactive. Policy must be inviting. It shouldn't be ones that would drive investors away. It's a wonderful opportunity if you look at it. And I have confidence in the managers of the economy that the right decisions will be made. It looks a bit, clarity is not so much established, but as we continue to go, we'll fine tune, we understand where the challenges are, and government will need to be proactive so we can, ensure that we move at a very appreciable pace. So we are keenly monitoring what's going on.
Right, and looking at that enabling environment, we've been talking a lot about creating that enabling environment for businesses, but we see that with high inflation, we've seen the central bank have to keep rates really high. So talk to me about patient capital. Looking at a country like Nigeria, do you think patient capital will be looking this way?
Yes, there's a lot of patient capital seeking to come in. If you look at the Middle East, is showing a lot of they are mopping up a lot of interest aggregations in terms of bringing that sort of capital into Africa, and in this case, Nigeria. What patient capital likes to see is policy direction. And because it's looking at a long-term investment horizon, it is ready to go the long haul with the government. But in this case, like I keep saying, government have to show leadership. In terms of policy framing, it has to be more consultative other than hammer in the hand sort of approach. Government should continue to sit with Dangote, NMC around the table, fine-tune, continue to fine-tune, because to retain patient capital is heavily hinged on policy. So if policy is not showing that sort of, confidence on the investor community, is also going to, it won't go well. It won't be an attractive destination for investors. But like we always emphasize, patient capital is always policy aligned. They want to see what direction is going, because they have a window to make decisions. And then once they are seeing that, well, it's not going well, those decisions will be made. But in the long run, Nigeria is going to win, but it's all hinged on leadership. The managers of the economy, in this case, the central bank, also has to be very inventive, quickly keep going back to the drawing board. It shouldn't be casted in concrete. If there's any step of the journey that is showing to be creating some bottlenecks, some hindrances, we should quickly be able to modify these things so that at least we inspire confidence. Whichever sort of capital is coming in, it will be hinged on confidence, leadership, policy, and we're closely monitoring what the scenarios will be from now on.
Right. When it comes to Africa and Nigeria, we keep talking about attracting investment, bringing in FDI. But what do you think a country like Nigeria should be doing now so to get to a point where we don't have to always look for FDI and looking for foreigners to always come and invest here? How can we do things, from within? What's the short-term move for that and long-term?
Yeah. When we talk about FDIs, we should also not lose sight of the fact that there's a capital flight. Profits are repatriated back to base, and then eventually whatever gains has been made, the significant beneficiary is out of country. So what needs, like Dangote has shown leadership, we should create more Dangotes. It shouldn't just be centered around an individual or one particular company. We should find a way to bring other people to the table. Monopoly can. Those who are also talking against monopoly should come with, equity should come with the right capital, the right mindset to show leadership. In terms of domestifying our economies, it takes individuals like Dangote. One Dangote is not enough. We need to see about 100 Dangotes in Nigeria. He has shown that already. We need people to look at his blueprint. And when those who want to get into the space, government should be able to welcome them. And probably even if Dangote, will take Dangote to show them the way, mentor them, guide them on how to, be able to meet certain government requirements. We're missing out when it comes to capital retention. Profit flight, capital flight is a major concern to African economies. We keep going out there trying to attract the investment, but let's also look within. What you realize is that your best bet is local capital mobilization. Once you mobilize the capital in country, it stays in country, and then the benefits, those who make the economic gains are also in country. Whatever they spend, whatever they do, expansion, capacity building, it stays within the country. So, like, government policy should be welcoming to the local entrepreneur. It shouldn't be too, destructive when it comes to the local business person trying to get in the space. But like I said, we're inspired by what is happening. Government has seen that, yes, indeed, once they muscle out some leadership and build local capacity, is going to help the country in the long run. Inflation is disturbing. We want to retain our currency. We shouldn't, use our currency to go and chase dollars to do transactions. So all these things are very important. But I'm sure that the central government, the Minister of Finance, are inspired now to look within their country, to look at what direction to go in terms of building local capacity, domestifying, the opportunities for Nigerians to get in the way. It's not just Nigerians, other Africans are also keenly monitoring on how they can come in so that it stays within the continent, the opportunity is shared, so that at least Nigeria shows the way when it comes to creating opportunities for Africans as well.
Right, and talking about creating opportunities, for Africans, we've seen, with this mega refinery, at the end of the day, pricing is still looking like Nigerians will have to pay a lot to get PMS at the pump. So generally looking at, the Nigerian consumer, the African consumer, we see all of these big investments, but with these big investments, we're still seeing poverty, rising. So how can we make it also, put the consumer, the average Nigerian African consumer, in the picture, how we can protect them? Even though we're getting most of these investments coming in, the policy from the government, how can it translate to cheaper prices for Nigerians and Africans?
Well, if you look at energy security across Africa, it's always been a challenge. When the prices at the pump goes up, it impacts every sector of the economy, right from food, right from everything else that we do is impacted by the price at the pump. But it's always been challenging. If you look at even Ghana, Liberia, Uganda, Kenya, it's always come up. And you find that economic managers are grappling with the idea, how do we solve this menace? How do we go a long way to find solutions to these concerns that is not really cutting it? Poverty is heavily high in Africa. If you look at the impact, even in Nigeria, these very exciting dynamics, it's not really changing people's situations immediately. As a long-term, and as decision makers, we should look at long-term horizon. And we should be honest when we're making these decisions. We should tell people these decisions that we are making, the impact might not be felt now, but in the next 5 to 10 years, you will see it. We should be honest about it. We shouldn't be making policies that are policies that will change our dynamics that is very, very deeply rooted, and eventually it will happen. But if we keep on making decisions that seeks to impact what happens at the ballot and elections, then this is what happens to us. We don't make decisions for the long term. Once we keep making short-term decisions, our scenarios are never going to change.
Right.
Because you are.
All right. So hopefully, with all of this, I hope at the end of the day, the average Nigerian and the average African wins, even though the big investments keep rolling in. Thank you so much. It was great having you, Mr. Farouk Kailan, is the CEO, Premium Africa Holdings. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, Ladi. Great talking.
Thank you. Bye. I'll take a quick break now. When we come back, head straight to the markets. That's in a moment. Stay with us. All right, for the Treasury bill secondary market, traded on a bearish note. That was on Friday with many offers across the curve, with minimal bids that match those. But let's bring in Ladi Bello, head fixed income at Access Bank. Hello, Ladi. Great to have you.
Thank you very much for having me. Good morning.
Good morning. So what are you seeing? We did see low yields last week, most of those fixed income markets. Talk to me about investor sentiment and demand.
Okay, sure. Market liquidity improved towards the end of last week's trading session by about 88 billion to close the day in the red, negative territory of about 500 billion. Despite this, we saw OBB and overnight rates hover around the 31.5% levels respectively. So what we've seen last week is some cherry picking across the curve. Given the low level of system liquidity, we've seen most of the trades done at the belly of the curve, where we have the elevated yields on the February, March, and April 2025 papers. These were exchanged hands around the 19% levels earlier in the week, and then towards the end of the week, we saw these papers trend upwards by about 100 basis points to close around 20% levels. Well, in contrast, the bond market was a little bit more active. We saw some bulls come out into the market. We were supposed to have the FGN bond auction scheduled for today, but because it's a public holiday, the DMO decided to move it back. We scheduled now next week, Monday, and as a result of this, we expect to see a little bit more buying ahead of these auctions above the 20% mark.
All right, we'll definitely be looking out for that. But what are you seeing for this holiday shortened week?
Please repeat that.
What are you seeing for this holiday shortened week in the market?
Okay, so we expect to see fairly improved system liquidity levels as some of the coupon payments come in to affect the market liquidity this week. But by and large, we expect to see continued bullish sentiments across the bond curve as market expectations imply that the yields will close significantly lower than where we saw the previous auctions levels. At the last auction, we saw the most interesting and highest yielding bond in the market, the May 2033 papers, trade around 21.5% levels. And right now in the secondary market is trading just above the 20% mark. So we expect to see that filter into the bond primary auction next week, Monday, where we will see slightly reduced yields across the bond curve.
All right. Thank you so much, Ladi Bello, head fixed income, Access Bank. Thank you. All right, now let's get a check on what happened, what played out in the equities market last week. 97,456. That's for the all-share index points, up 1.06%. That's the trade for the week. So again, compared to the previous week, let's look at the trading activity. Was a little bit subdued with value in the red. Deals just 50,615 lower compared to the previous week. Volume 2.58 billion units of shares traded. That's bigger than the previous session. Then if we look at the sectoral performance, it was all green, showing full-on bullish investor sentiment, 5.12%. Financial services, that's a banking counter. That's taken a bit beating for a while earlier this year, but now we're seeing a big recovery. Consumer goods, 1.47%. Then we see oil and gas counter also giving a 2% rise. Let's take a look at some of the top trades. That's for last week. We see financial services again topping the counter with Jai's Bank, PLC, Zenith Bank, PLC topping trades by volume, and we also have Jopol Gold and Ventures PLC. So, as I said before, the holiday shortened week remains to be seen how investors play in this 4 days of trading that's starting tomorrow. So I'm going to hand things over to the Sunrise Daily team, but before that, this commercial break. Do stay with us.
Well, this could well be an extension of Business Morning on Sunrise Daily, because indeed we're still talking business, only this time how it affects us as Nigerians. Well, you may, of course, be aware of that back and forth between the NNPCL and Dangote Refinery concerning the price at which it was sold. Well, the NNPC did put out that statement, saying that, look, this is how much we how much we procured this product from the Dangote refineries. You may be seeing that on your screen any moment now, as to at what time, exactly what it was that the NNPCL got from Dangote refineries. The statement talking about the estimated pump prices of PMS from Dangote Refinery based on September 2024 pricing. It is also being made clear by the NNPCL that this price will undulate from time to time based on markets dynamics, and that is part of the conversation. This statement that you are seeing right now on your screen is part of the information that has been put out by the NNPCL about this particular issue that we are talking about now. And right now, of course, as you can see right there on the front page, right there on your screen, the NMDPRA's levy, the Midstream and Gas Infrastructure Fund, and a number of other things that are there, which brings the pump price in Lagos to 950 Naira 22 kobo. Is that the amount that everyone is going to be buying it? I guess we'll wait to see. If that is your experience, please let Nigerians know. And of course, we also know that the Dangote Refinery has put out their own statement as well, saying that the price, there's a technical committee set up by the president to determine the price. NNPCL is saying, how can that be in a deregulated environment? Let's have conversations around this morning with Mr. Marcel Okeke, who is a former chief economist with Zenith Bank. He joins us virtually this morning. Thank you for joining us this morning, Mr. Okeke. Well, first of all, let's speak to that back and forth that you are not unaware of. What do you make of all of that back and forth between the NNPCL and Dangote Refinery? It's the first in 28 years, some say, and here we are now, some good songs to sing, yet this back and forth. What do you make of it all?
If I heard you well, thank you very much for the question. Yes. The thing is that the controversy that has been going on around Dangote's rollout of PMS is, to say the least, worrisome. Okay. Nigerians are really fed up, with those controversies and all that, because there's been a lot of expectation, that the Dangote Refinery will be a game changer in terms of alleviating the sufferings of Nigerians, because of the consistent or successive hike in the price of PMS. But all of a sudden, the government, through its agencies, stepped in and appears to have been holding the company by the jugular, so to speak, and that all the freedom that the company is supposed to enjoy in terms of a private business and all that, the government stepped in, to cause confusion, if you like. And so people have been watching in utter surprise and shock as to why the government, and these agencies have taken this kind of position. And what's been unfolding is that the government has more hidden agenda or interest, in the Dangote business than, we knew it. And so what is coming out now is that government appears to want to keep the price, at a level that rather than things improving in the economy, things will keep getting worse. Because everybody knows that the price of PMS, especially, and other refined product, have a way of influencing or impacting every aspect of life, especially driving the level of inflation, and having deterioration in people's quality of life and the value of money, and so on and so forth. So as we speak, the ding-dong, if you like, is still going on, and we are not sure that Dangote PMS is already in the market. It's all talking about price. Some say about 1,000 naira per liter. Some say 900 and something per liter. The truth is that any of these prices will cause more problem in the economy. And I want to stop there for now. We'll elaborate as we go on. Thank you.
Well, Mr. Keke, perhaps to further elucidate on that. I mean, you may want to help us with that, because information available to us from the slide that we showed earlier, which we'll still bring back on the screen right now, the back and forth, there are those who would say it's purely business. NNPC actually says, look, from available information, this is a purely business conversation. Now, all of these rates will come back to which one of them you think might need to be shelved in the interest of Nigerians. But it's a purely business discussion, a purely business negotiation between one organization and the other, the NNPCL as off-taker, buying from a private organization, which is the Dangote Refinery. And as at now, NNPCL is saying, look, we are paying in dollars, but subsequently it will be in Naira. And they actually, according to the NNPCL, had to negotiate with Dangote Refinery before they could arrive at 898 Naira to the liter. Now, do you think that is a fair adjustment, because a fair position? Because there are those who were saying that hitherto, someone was covering the difference between the real price of fuel and what we have on our hands now. Do you think this is really representative? Do you think this is the ceiling of the cost, given that it is Dangote making this fuel on Nigerian soil, technically, importing it into Nigeria from the free trade zone? Do you think this is Uhuru now, that we don't have to be afraid that the fuel price is going to get any higher, or what do you make of it? How hopeful are you?
Well, thank you. Again, given the intrigues that have been going on, the controversy has been going on with the rollout of Dangote Refinery PMS, we are no longer sure as to what is going to happen. Because before now, we just saw Dangote try to come into the market as a purely private concern. And people were saying that it's going to kind of play as a monopoly, because of the advertised capacity of Dangote Refinery that's likely to take over the market, given the fact that I don't have other serious or big refineries within Nigeria already. The economy will be depending almost 100% on importation of PMS. And so that when Dangote takes off, it is assumed capacity are going to play as a monopoly. Now, all of a sudden, NNPC stepped in, to now move from the private monopoly to state monopoly, because it's the off-taker. Why must NNPC be the only off-taker? Why will there not be an agreement so that if the distributors will directly go to Dangote and take these things and move to various parts of the country? You understand? So it means that the government has vested interest, because I must tell you, for instance, all these people who have been around over the years as licensed importers of refined products, especially PMS, they have vested interest. And it's like they are afraid of what the Dangote Refinery will be to them, or they believe that once that refinery flourishes, that their business is gone, that kind of, and that is why they directly or indirectly, they are moving the NNPC to come in between, so to be the off-taker, and now be the one that will be interfacing with them. So you see that this goes beyond ordinary business. You see that there is politics and some other vested interest in it. That's the way it is. And so, going forward, nobody knows clearly the intention of government by unleashing NNPC into the whole scenario. Because under the Petroleum Industry Act, you understand, the NNPC is supposed to, operate in a liberalized market where market forces, play the key roles. But now it has come in as a participant, as an operator and a regulator at the same time. So,
but you do know, Mr. Okeke, my apologies, you do know, Mr. Okeke, that the NNPCL has repeatedly says that it is not a regulator, it is the NMDPRA and other institutions of government like that that are regulators. In fact, if you see in the pricing template that they have released, there is an NMDPRA levy that NNPCL is paying to NMDPRA. So they have said repeatedly that they are not regulators, but that they are mandated by the same law that you quoted, the PIA, to be the energy supplier of last resort, just to ensure that there is energy security in the country. Doesn't that count for something?
From my perspective, I think Nigeria and Nigerians would have benefited, maximally, if you like, from the Dangote Refinery if the refinery was left, to operate as a private business, rather than being twisted or compelled, to be subsumed under the authority of the NNPCL and these other agencies you have mentioned.
You think the fuel would have been cheaper if the NNPCL didn't step in?
I think it would have been better, because in that case, the supply and demand situation we always talk about will play out, okay? But in this case, the NNPC coming to stand in between appears to be representing some kind of interest. And when you look at these things and the prices that people are mentioning
sorry, I just want to be clear, Mr. Okeke, just 1 second, my sincere apologies. Are you saying that if the NNPCL did not intervene in the negotiations on behalf of Nigerians, that the fuel that Dangote Refinery will be selling to the private importers, the other independent marketers, are you saying that it will be cheaper from Dangote refineries to them and to Nigerians?
I think it will be cheaper, because to begin with, all of us have an idea of Dangote Refinery was going through before. The federal government now announced that they will be supplied the crude oil here and they will pay in Naira. So if Dangote Refinery is getting crude oil here in Naira, okay, give and take, it is likely to have lower operational costs, okay, and that will translate into cheaper PMS, to be sold to Nigeria directly, all things being equal. So let me also say, the perception out there is that the intervention of the NNPCL or interruption or whatever it's called is not in the interest of the people. But they'll be giving the impression that they want to save Nigerians from hardship. But all we are getting is that all of a sudden, rather than the price of PMS coming down, it's going up. Why should it be so? The Dangote that we know over the years, operating in various sectors and subsectors, manufacturing and pushing to the market goods, all kinds of goods and all that. They are not the agents, of price hikes and all that. Okay? And talking about monopoly and all that, which would have enabled them to put the price, sky high. Why would the federal government not be serious with repairing its own refineries to compete against Dangote, and we see the free market operating?
Well, for now, well, I'm very sure that that's one of the conversations that several people are raising. But I mean, still on that same subject matter, before Kayla, my colleague in Abuja, will come in, you do know that one of the considerations perhaps that the NNPCL has, one of the considerations in the dialogue between NNPCL and Dangote Refinery would be that it is the NNPCL that is supplying the crude to Dangote refineries. And Dangote Refinery, the NNPCL also has shares in Dangote refineries. Those things, I believe, should count for something in the negotiation between NNPCL and Dangote Refinery. So do you think other independent marketers would have that kind of leverage with Dangote Refinery and be able to offtake 25 million liters of fuel daily to be able to get the kind of negotiation they got from Dangote Refinery?
you see, Dangote Group, we know, is not a small business empire. They are quite experienced, and they have the clout, you know, to do the kind of business they've gone into. And so it will be patronizing to believe, you know, that they will not be able to, you know, relate with distributors, you know, to supply product to them, and unless NNPC intervenes. I mean, I don't know the right word to use in describing that. The NNPCL mustn't intervene if Dangote is allowed, you know, to play as a private business. And I am saying, open the market, reactivate the other refinery the government has left moribund over the years. Allow other model refineries to come on stream and leave the market open. So this role of NNPC coming to be off-taker and all that will be removed. And so the market forces will come into play, and Nigerians will be the better for it, because Dangote will not operate as a monopoly, neither will the government operate as any. And then you have many people producing PMS and all that, but that's not being allowed. Let me also tell you, the perception out there is that Dangote refinery is being punished, you understand, and is being subjected to this kind of trouble of getting into the market. Who else we have the guts? Who else we have the clout? Who else we have the knowledge? Who else we have the capacity to even venture into doing what Dangote is doing and going through what he's going through? Okay? All of us know that.
Mr. Okeke. Yes, just so we can, you know, wrap up and touch on everything. One of the major issues with this situation has to do with the pricing, really. No matter what is going on around the country, no matter what, everything comes down to what it is that the Nigerian is going to have to pay. And for many people, we're asking, so what was the point in the first place if it's still going to be costing this much? We saw from the coalition of united political parties as well complaining about this. In fact, their complaint has to do with the fact that, look, why does it cost this much when they're not having to pay for tariffs, they're not paying for landing costs or port charges? And just so you can look at our screens right there, what the estimated amount is going to be around the country. We're looking at in Lagos, for instance, 950 naira 22 kobo per litre. Here in Abuja, 992 naira 22 kobo, and as far as Borno, 1,019 naira 22 kobo. You know, just so you can help us to understand why this is going on right now. And you know, these complaints saying, look, the price is not justified. We thought it was going to be cheaper. What do you make of that, and what should a Nigerian be thinking about at this point in time?
Well, as far as I am concerned, as an economist, all these things are imposition. The government agency, whether it's NNPCL or whatever agency, are imposing this on a Dangote refinery. Okay? Given the Dangote business that all of us are familiar with over the years, Dangote is not coming into the market to punish Nigerians. Okay? So because the prices you are mentioning now are punitive. You know, they will worsen the state of being, well-being or whatever of Nigerians. You understand? Already inflation is sky high, and all of a sudden you are bringing in this, you know, pricing template that's going to worsen the situation. When is it going to get better? Okay? So the expectation of Nigerians concerning Dangote Refinery is not unfounded. You know, but what we are seeing now is the other side of it. Okay? I am telling you that ordinarily we should not be talking about this kind of pricing and price, because Dangote Refinery, yes, it is located in export free zone, but it is still here in Lagos. Okay, and if they are getting their major input raw material, which is crude oil, and paid in Naira, so the issue of landing costs, paying insurance, paying this, paying that will not arise. And certainly that will draw down their cost of operation. And certainly that will be transferred to Nigeria in terms of lower cost. I don't think a Dangote business, we see that the price of fuel PMS we're talking about is now around 600 and 700. I'll enter into a negotiation and agree with government. Let us now move it to 1,000 and something. I mean, why will he be part of that kind of punishment for Nigerians as a business? Okay? People are already being choked. You know, people are being pushed to the wall in terms of impoverishment, in terms of level of poverty. in terms of high level of inflation, in terms of worthlessness of their income. Okay? So I mean, it's a shock to Nigerians, what is going on. And Nigerians are still watching.
It's a shock to all of us. Absolutely. You are correct in that sense. What do we do going forward? What can be done? Can anything be done? There's a despondency in my spirit. And I think a lot of people feel that way right now. What are you going to do? What can be done? Is it possible for... Is there some kind of transparency that we need from NNPC that can make things better? What can be done?
What we think can be done is if we have a responsive government to respond immediately to the feelings of Nigerians, to respond immediately and in their own best interest, so that this economy will start being turned around. They have to bring down the prices. They have to ensure that the pump price of PMS, doesn't go higher, but either remains at something below 700 and remains there. Government should do everything to make sure that other refineries start working. That's the expectation of Nigerians. And not this issue of tying everything around Dangote Refinery. You see, rather than encouraging the business, everything is being done, to squeeze it and to get it asphyxiated, to get the Dangote and Co. punished, to get them stopped from operating and all that. Then that will go to underline and underpin the suspicion that some people have blending plants somewhere and are supplying, and they want that line of business to continue, so that Nigeria will continue to depend on imported PMS. If that is not the truth, let the government do everything to encourage the Dangote Refinery to flourish and blossom and encourage others to come in, so that we have that kind of free market, free market forces, demand and supply will play, and businesses will go into building refineries. That's what we expect. And not all this brouhaha around the Dangote Refinery. We are fed up.
We have a particular, someone actually sent us a question to ask you. And he was saying that you're actually looking at the issues as an activist and not necessarily as an economist. He said NNPCL is an investor in Dangote and also the supply of crude in Nigeria. So that gives it its edge to negotiate the price. What do you make of that?
No. If you look at, in the first place, how did the government or the NNPC come to invest in Dangote refineries? Okay? You want to tell me that it's Dangote that asked for it? We are there not in any way compelled and twisted, to allow a government to come in so that they start to do this kind of thing they're doing now. Who in Nigeria loves doing any business with government directly? Now look at what it's resulting into. If NNPC, let me take what you said, did not invest in Dangote Refinery, will it be taking this kind of position it's taking now? So-called investor. Yes, if they are good investors, what is happening to their own government fully owned refineries? Okay? So you can see that it's a bad investor. If that investment, level of investment will entitle it to what it's doing now. And at the end of the day, the interest of government, the overall interest of government should be the welfare and well-being of Nigerians, should be the economic development of this country. The level of price and pricing we are talking about will not conduce to the well-being of Nigerians and will not help the development of this economy in any way, because inflation will go sky high while the quality and standard of living of Nigerians, everybody within Nigeria, will go down. We go down consistently. You understand?
I mean, I'm looking at that press statement from Dangote's office because we haven't gotten an update from that. At least we've gotten an update from the NNPCL where they're urging us to disregard the statement. But, he says a formal announcement on the pricing by the Technical Subcommittee on Naira-based crude sales to local refineries appointed by His Excellency President Bola Tinubu, which will commence on October the 1st, bearing in mind that our current stock of crude was procured in dollars. Should we wait till the 1st of October?
You see, that's the problem now. That's the problem. Waiting till 1st October. As we speak, we still have about 2 weeks to get to 1st October. And so, why will a government, be keeping people in suspense like this? And the more suspense, that exists, the more the sufferings. People, human beings, do better, with certainties and not uncertainty. Businesses do better on certainties and not on uncertainties. You understand? Businesses do their plan and execute their plan based on certain variables and factors. But this one, that government creates room for uncertainty, it distorts business and distorts people's way of life, and ends up causing more hardship for the people because they're not sure of anything. That's why we have this challenge of policy somersaults in the system. So many things are said, but at the end of the day, government moves into another thing and says sorry, and goes into another thing. And life doesn't go on well with that kind of policy.
All right, so we do have to wrap it there, Mr. Marcelo Okeke. I want to thank you very much for being with us on Sunrise Daily this morning, and good luck with all the work you have ahead of you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Marcelo Okeke, the former chief economist of Zenith Bank, join us via Zoom from Lagos. We have quite a number of messages here. I want to start off with Adekoyejo Fetuga, if we can have that up there. Adekoyejo, he says, it's a shame that NNPCL, after decades of existence and operations without meaningful value, is excited to act as middleman in the sale of PMS to the public. Even more disheartening is the false information about how much Dangote sold PMS to NNPCL, and NNPCL must come out clean on the price. Transparency must be a priority. Ayo, which one are you looking at?
Well, let me just take that one that follows it. Impunity, that's from Fale Nangwang, says, the impunity at all levels of governance in Nigeria is alarming. The cabals operating the Nigerian nation as a business want to cripple the governed. They want Nigerians to beg on the streets. Citizens no longer have any purchasing power to foot their bills.
It is a precarious situation. Pastor Law Alpha C, he says, all the political stakeholders, he's going back to the Edo story, all the political stakeholders in Edo should exhibit a high level of responsibility and decency before, during, and after this Guber election in the state. For the 18th time, it has been a campaign of bitterness and name-calling. Hear, hear.
Well, most certainly.
All right, well, those are the messages we can take at this time. I want to thank everybody who sent us messages. All of you on YouTube, we see your messages as well. Thank you for speaking with us, and have a wonderful week ahead. I'm Kayla Megwa. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Well, Kayla, you asked one very important question. Should we now wait for October 1? I guess we only have today. Well, in the meantime, have a wonderful rest of your beautiful day. It's a public holiday, so take all the rest you need, and Barka de Salah to our Muslim faithful. I'm Aya Makinde. Have a wonderful day.